And we are live.
Are we?
Hopefully. Otherwise I
Hopefully.
hit the wrong button.
Pulled a Rhojin and started streaming on your own channel?
Oh
Hey,
god.
hey, I've only done that like 5 times.
Recently?
No, I don't think
I
I've
don't
done it at
believe.
all.
I
It's
don't
been a
think you
while.
did. It's been a while.
I think the last time that like I actually streamed it on my own channel was when God, we had the St. Jude's stream back all those years ago. And like they had just started and I hit the go live button on my own stream and took over the stream itself.
Oh no. Never good. Never good. But it's been a while, so. Guys, welcome to our Behold Lore talk show. I'm your host, Zoro from 3, here with my lore masters, Rhojinquest and HBfox. We are going to be talking about a very interesting topic. Of course, everything on here, the majority of what we talk about is homebrew stuff. Specifically today, we're going to be talking about homebrew rules and stuff that we've done that have changed in games compared to what is traditional. We are also going to dabble a little bit into our thoughts on the new rules that were announced recently and if and how that will affect our games going forward. We have a lot of opinions on that, so we're going to try to keep it within the hour and a half time frame that we have. But of course, if you have any questions for us regarding our rules as well as the new rules, we will definitely answer them. Of course, with the rules, that's going to be like the last half. First half is us, last half is those rules. We always like to be
half
first.
is mostly Rhojin, I'm going to be honest, because I have no notes on homebrew stuff. But I have extensive notes and diagrams for the new rules section.
I look forward to the PowerPoint presentation.
Please, like screen share or like screenshot it, like post it, like stuff. Just
I have
pull it up.
prepared. I have uploaded them to Imager so I can drop the links in Twitch chat as
Oh
we talk
god.
about them. Since we announced that we were going to be talking about that, I have been studying almost nonstop on everything that they've released so far.
We're gonna be passionate, and you know what? That just
to
means
be well informed.
That's true. It just means that we're very passionate about the game and we have some opinions. So if you disagree with us, that is completely fine. This is just our opinion and what's gonna happen with our games going forward. But speaking of our games, we do have a list of things that we're going to discuss that we do homebrew with our own. For instance, we're just going to do one as an example, which is actually part of my list, is you have noticed that once we reach level 5, we do something like Brutal Critical, which of course is not common or really a rule in the games. If I remember correctly, it was something in the previous books. So Roja, tell us why and how we added Brutal Critical to our games.
Technically, Brutal Critical does exist in 5th edition, but it is a barbarian ability only, which allows you to add an extra weapon die onto the onto your attack once you hit like barbarian 9th level, I think it is.
Yes.
But Brutal Critical came about halfway through season 2, or campaign 2. I forgot who mentioned it. It was like somebody rolled a critical hit in the middle of combat, and they mentioned, "Hey, you know, are we using brutal criticals or anything like that?" First time I've ever heard of it. No clue what the hell brutal critical was, and it's like, but once it was explained to me, I'm like, "Fuck yes, that sounds amazing. We're doing that."
So I know the answer to this question, because we have my brother-in-law to thank for Brutal Critical. because it was something that he tried out in one of his in-person games, and then he started doing it in the game that he was DMing that I was a part of. And that day that I asked the question, are we doing Brutal Critical? It was because I was super tired and I forgot what game I was playing. So when I asked that question and Rhojin didn't know what I was talking about, I was like, oh shit, wrong game. And then I explained it, and we started doing it from that point forward. And I love it. It adds so much danger to the game, especially at high levels. Because high level play is not dangerous enough, and Brutal Critical really ramps it up.
You heard it here first, kids. Sleep deprivation adds wonders to any D&D game because cool rules get added.
I do remember that it was a newer campaign. We attempted to do Brutal Critical earlier on, realized it was way too potent at lower levels. We're like, you know what, that's one-shotting people. Let's wait until a little later. So then we found the sweet spot at level 5 where it's like, okay, that's just the right amount of time where we could survive if Brutal Critical. So as Balls was saying, what is Brutal Critical? Brutal Critical is where if you roll a nat 20, you basically it's the max amount of damage you can, as well as rolling on top of that. So if you could do, if you roll like Fireball, and it's like, 8d6, whatever 8 times 6 is, that max, the ultimate max, plus you roll all the dice and add that on top of it. So Brutal Critical is nasty for power damage if you nat 20. And it is a rule implemented when you reach level 5 in all of our campaigns. So by the way, Rhojin forgot to mention, to us at least on today's episode, that now that we were level 5 for our first time on Withered Ways, Brutal Critical is now in effect.
I wasn't really going to mention it until the first fight.
That's fair.
For level 5, because it's like, you guys just got out of a fight. You're looting now, and you're going to go back to Grandma Sophie's. You're really not going to get in a fight. I don't need to worry, everyone. That's for everyone. That is for all players.
Everyone.
And all enemies. Like, enemies can now Brutal Critical. And I've hit critical hits against people that have done like 200 some odd damage against a player and like down them. So it goes both ways. Yeah. But as long as you make an attack roll, Brutal Critical applies to it. It's either weapon damage, spell damage, whatever. Yeah.
So it's the same thing, like if you're a blood hunter and you're like, oh, well, my sword has fire damage, that's still max on top. It's everything max on top of it.
Any die that's rolled is max.
Yeah, so it's a sneak attack, all that stuff.
Yeah, it just level 5 seems to be the stopgap for a lot of the homebrew rules when it comes to combat. Because level 5 is like when you get that little oomph to your character. Most classes are getting their second special ability in the subclass. They're starting to like define themselves a little bit more. Your HP pool, unless you're a wizard, is you could probably take a Brutal Critical hit and still function. To where Brutal Critical at level 1 would kill 90% of characters.
Especially if you got like a great sword. It's like it's a D8. Well, that's most of everyone's HP right there.
Because if you look at it, at level 1, the most HP anyone could have is a level 1 barbarian with an 18 constitution, giving you 16 HP. That is the most you can have.
Or just like 10.
Yeah, that's the only class that can break that. So
and by the time you're level 5, you've got some HP. You can take a hit. You've got slightly better armor, probably. You've got some reactions that you can use to maybe reduce damage a bit. You might have some resistances that are now in play. So you can take a few hits, but prior to that, we learned generally not so much.
Yeah. Which, we adjusted since then, because again, we tried it, we're like, ooh, maybe not We'll wait. The only show we don't do that in is Mass Effect, and the reason why is because the damage output that you guys do in just one round is ridiculous. It is quite brilliant with Mass Effect, which I love, and I've learned to adjust. But if we were to do Brutal Critical in Mass Effect, like one shot could do well over 100 damage at the somewhat lower levels too. Because I remember the damage output you guys were putting at level 3, and I was like, I gave this creature over 100 HP, and you guys knocked it out in a round. I'm like,
yeah, and I mean, in a system
It's
where
crazy.
things like zero sum exist, there's the potential for brutal
Yep.
criticals to be happening all the
Yep.
time.
yes,
Like
yes,
zero sum. I love zero sum as Brockus. It's just I know one day it is going to bite me in the ass. When it's like I'm gonna have that 98 fire blast charged up, and I'm gonna roll a 1, and it's like, well, it's the nuclear reactor all over again. I'm face tanking something here.
yeah,
But it's like there's at times it's just like it's just too good not to risk.
yeah,
But like, yeah, like you said, with like brutal critical with zero sum thrown in there, if I were to hit somebody with a zero sum brutal critical with the airlock at 98 damage or 96 damage plus my bonuses and everything, that is a base 60 damage on top of whatever I roll 96 with.
yeah. So it's and it was something that I chose to do again because there was some bosses you guys faced at level 4 and 5 where that's when I started to finally find the sweet spot of a balance of what I wanted my bosses, because you guys kept destroying everything that I thought was maybe too OP or too under, and I was just like, nah, y'all killing things stupid quick. So I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna have to make some adjustments. So adding something like brutal critical is not so much like, oh, I don't want them to hurt me. It's more for them, because the amount of damage output these creatures could potentially do is about as much as they could do to me, and then some. And that's almost one-shotting them. And I'm like, at level 9, I could one-shot them, and I'm like, no.
Well, all
no.
of you DMs out there who are seeing that your players are putting out way too much damage against a boss that could probably finish them in 1 or 2 rounds, that's not your fault. That is the structure of the game.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
higher level D&D is not balanced whatsoever. Once the character hits level 10, pretty much any game design goes out the window.
Yeah.
So, best tip I can give for you: don't give your bosses an HP pool.
Yeah.
Let the boss die when you feel that the fight has been climactic enough. You feel that like all of the characters have gotten time to shine in the fight, everybody's looked cool, there's been a little bit of, drama, throw
Some
it in there.
danger.
Instead of, I'm the big bad that has been threatening the world at all points in time. The wizard walks up, rolls up the sleeves, just hyper blasts a fireball in their face, or, hits them with a ray of death or something like that. Then the fighter comes in with their 87 attacks and just decimates the guy. He decimates the bad guy, and it's like, well, there went 2 years of the campaign down the drain.
Yeah. So it's definitely, like I said, the reverse of it. It's not the damage output they put to me, it's the damage output they could do to them. And in a system that's a bit broken, especially at the lower level, I'm like, we're not doing brutal critical here. Sorry.
Moles, to answer your question, it all depends on the level. Though
the fight time.
Most combat that you will see, most structured combat you'll see, will last at least an hour once you get past level 5. To where, like, we've had fights take up the entire 4 hours of a session. It
depends on the fight.
It's just the way that the game is structured. Combat takes forever.
It really depends on the fight, the boss, and
the players.
And the players, because there's been fights it took us an entire, like you said, the entirety of our session. Sometimes it took 2. So it's like, I remember with, I remember there was a couple times we had boss fights that were so crazy, we were so close to the end, we went an extra like hour or 2 afterwards, because we were just like, well, we're so close, let's just finish it kind of situation. It varies.
I've gotten to the point to where now when I'm planning a boss fight to show up, I will let everybody know. That way it's like, plan for maybe an extra hour if you can.
Yeah.
But I personally do not like having combat go-to sessions because it gives the players time to think of what to do. And even though you may not want to do it, I know everybody talks and like, you know, tries to plan out what they should do ahead of time.
Not as much as you think, actually.
Important fights though. If I give you guys a session, like if it's like,
sometimes.
oh, we'll pick this up next week, I know at least 1 or 2 of you are like talking to each other, trying to plan combos and whatnot. It's like
sometimes,
like I'll admit it, sometimes Tilt and I talk.
Yeah.
Like we talk in the Mass Effect channel. It's like, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. We'll spike them down. It's just player talk.
Oh yeah. Plus, half the time it doesn't work out because something happens and we're like, oh well, that plan's out the window.
She teleports over a wall.
It's like, oh, well, there goes that plan. And that's just me, not even like planning with anyone else. That's just me trying to play chess with myself. Like, what am I going to do? And they're like, oh shit, well, they teleported. Well, now I don't know what I'm going to do. So now when it's my turn, I'm like, well, I had a plan.
Also,
and you changed
if you really want to be a bastard, give every one of your bosses counterspell, no matter if they're a caster or not.
Oh god.
They have a legendary action of counterspell.
It's a barbarian counterspell.
My favorite thing to do that I did in one of the sonatas when you guys fought that dragon was to give them a super powered version of counterspell, where instead of just canceling the spell, it redirects it at somebody else entirely.
By the way, I've copied that for a future fight, so thank you for that.
I've given it to some other monsters as well, so I'm excited whenever that opportunity comes up.
It's just like, no, I'm not counterspelling. I'm playing Mere Force.
Oh god. Oh god. So yeah, so that's some fun. That's some, like Fox said, it kind of adds to the intensity and some danger to adding that brutal critical. So yes, it's technically a class feature, but it's a something fun that we did to just realize nat 20s in combat.
We just stole the name was just, you know, stolen.
Yeah.
It fits better with
Fox.
this anyway. It fits better with this anyway, because brutal critical, when it sounds cool until you read the ability on the barbarian thing. It's like, well, that's just lame.
Ours is cooler. Speaking of being cooler, that is actually something I think a lot of GMs probably do this, and I actually really like this rule this homebrew rule, because it kind of gives us room to grow as characters, and that's allowing players to learn things in game without sacrificing a ASI to take a feat or buff or anything like that, because we have been allowed to, with time, of course, and training, learn how to work with a weapon, or learn a new language, or potentially learn a feat, like be a great weapon master or something, so you can learn how to use this weapon, or be more proficient in a certain skill. As long as we put in the time and effort, it makes you feel like your character is growing, instead of just either making certain sacrifices or feeling like you're limited on what you can do as a character. And so I love that that's something that we have added, or have been doing in our games, to do that. And Rhojin specifically gives us timetables depending on what the skill is and all that, because of course it varies from it. So I'll let you, Rhojin, kind of elaborate on that, on kind of your thought process on what we need to do and how we go about it.
So I mainly implemented this because I don't know how other DMs feel, but I absolutely hate downtime. Because in downtime in a normal sense is very boring. You're going to get your weapons repaired. You're buying potions. You're getting ready for the next part of the adventure. Maybe there's a little bit of RP in there, but it's just very one-dimensional. You like you said, your characters don't get to learn anything unless they take a feat. And it's like, okay, cool, they took a feat, but where's the role play in them learning that new language, or learning how to cast Mage Hand where they've been out on the road and the party doesn't have a wizard? So it just, I took the idea specifically from Blades in the Dark, because Blades in the Dark had the system to where you had project timers, and it's like, oh, I want to make a weapon, or oh, I want to train this, or I'm investigating this, and you had project timers that like every day on your downtime you can work on. And so I just one for one took it from Blades in the Dark and put it into my games, just to give you guys a little bit more flavor as to what your character's trying to do.
Yeah, I absolutely love that, because it again, you don't feel like you have to make sacrifices or feel limited. It's like, if you're going to work towards it, it gives you some in-game things to do to work towards it. And I think it helps the character grow.
Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, you want to be a master in gem cutting? Sure. Spend that downtime, go right ahead.
Mm-hmm.
You want to learn a language? Okay. Boot up Duolingo in your downtime, and after a while you can speak dragon.
Exactly. And it also is a way to give us something to do, instead of the same old like, oh, okay, cool, we're at camp, we're just gonna keep an eye out.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's it. It's like, yeah, we do have some fun role-playing moments if there's two people watching. It's like, yeah, there are moments and interactions, but it's like,
where's the wind down time?
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, it doesn't feel so go with our characters all the time. It's like, okay, here's our personal projects. We're going to focus on that while also having moments of interaction. So it's a nice balance, at least with the games we've all played in. I can't speak for everyone, but it's kind of a nice balance of, hey, here's me downtime also as some interaction. So it feels more real and interactive. So yeah, so I know it's common for a handful of DMs that I've been games with, but not all of them do that. Some of them are very much like, you got to pick his feet up or something. Yeah. So it's nice. So
you have to take this feat for your wizard to learn how to wear heavy armor. Like nah. This is gonna be a Rocky montage, and you're weight training now. You're gonna be walking around with weighted clothes and stuff like that.
Your speed's at 20 now, but you know what? Get the muscles. So yeah, it's kind of fun. Plus, not to mention that Rhojin loves to throw new stuff at us, and we go, ooh, shiny, and that's gonna be our new thing we want to do. So it's never the same old like, what can I find in the book that I can do? Like, no, there's like new things. Like, oh my god, I can make bombs now? We just do that, like things like that. So it's fun. And it's not just old.
I am so terrified that Niall is like, yeah, I'm just gonna, in my downtime, I'm gonna make bombs.
I'm going to.
New things like building your own dragon and casting level 10 spells.
Yeah. Level 10 magic is not off limits in my game. Just be prepared for the consequences of casting a level 10 spell.
Yep. It's just a matter of, if you want to do something specific, ain't no harm in talking to your DM about it, saying, hey, this is what I want to do. I know I haven't gone into depth with Rhojin about it, but I have hinted, hey, I want to make grenades and bombs. And I'm working towards getting the schematics and stuff, so I could just, or make my own down the road and just be like, yeah, let's do this. We've seen HBfox already trying to, as Rhojin just said, make his own dragon, trying to find the components and everything and do the downtime for it. So there's so many things. That's true. He made his own healing bullets in the last campaign.
And I think only one person ever got shot by it because nobody wanted Tickles to shoot them.
Well, because Tickles shoots us normally.
This is true. There's a reason why the hello emote is the Tickles gun.
Yep, it's a classic. shoot first, ask names later.
Good old Tickles, hello.
So yeah, so it's the only limit really is you. Like you literally can pretty much do anything as long as you just talk to Rhojin or me or Fox or anyone about whoever DM is, and it's like it's fun to see what you can come up with. I mean, at least with our shows, that's what we do, and it's a lot of fun. So, like Tilt was talking to me about potential of what he wants to do with Omen, to kind of fuse potentially a multi-class, but kind of make it unique and add maybe some unique features so it makes sense. And I'm like, yeah, we'll talk about it when we get down that road. Just kind of make it unique. So yeah, it's because obviously you don't want it to be broken, but you also want them to have fun. So you just gotta map it out.
The way I see it is, if I give you guys something that breaks the campaign, I'll just break it the other way too.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'll balance it out.
I'm sure there's been moments. I know I had Mass Effect. There was a couple moments where I was like, ah, shit, I shouldn't have done that. But I'm like, well, I'll make it work. So yeah, so it's just all about flavor. We're not gonna go too deep into this. It's just like a fun little thing I wanted to poke at, especially with the new rule that I'm sure regular GMs are doing already with potions, where potions are a bonus action. I do like for our games, our rule is it's a free action to do a health potion for yourself, and if you want to take more than that or give it to someone else, it is an action to do so. Yeah. So it kind of, again, it doesn't feel like you're limited or powerless if you need to do just a quick little pop up on HP and then get in there to help defend everyone or whatever you need to do.
Because the way I see it, you're adventurers, you know, having a meal, having like a nice cooked meal where you sit down and eat, isn't really your forte. So you probably are masters of eating on the run, drinking on the run, and everything. So these bottles aren't Capri Suns where you have to fight to get a straw into it to be able to drink it. I just feel you guys are charging the combat, you rip the cork out with your teeth and you just down the potion.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, because before I like opted into doing that, I noticed a lot of people not really wanting to take a healing potion, even though their character desperately needed it, because it took them out of combat or took them out of the turn order for that round. It's like, well, you can drink a potion, you can move. It's like, it was, well, that kind of sucks.
Especially if you're a spellcaster, you're very limited on you don't have a lot of bonus action spells, so a lot of it's just like, well, do I sacrifice a spell or do I heal myself up? And everyone's like, well, I'm gonna die. That's my turn, you know.
I mean, and that's why I homebrewed the magic potions too, to where you can drink and regain spell slots. That way, you know, if you guys are in a very combat heavy situation to where halfway through your character is out of spell slots and now you're just throwing firebolt the entire time for the rest of the fight, you can, you know, pop one of those potions and at least get like one or two more spells off.
Although I don't think we had that when we were in Malorsic.
Nope.
This
is a Southern Frontier mana potions.
Yeah.
Mana pots. No, I don't like my players that much.
Look, Rosa, I hoard potions for boss fights. No, I'm talking about Rosa's comment before, though, where it's like, I hoard potions. I do this in video games, too, okay? I hoard potions until the boss fight, and then I will drink them like Kool-Aid, okay? I have also proven that in our campaigns. But for boss fights. Not all fights. I admit that. So, do you know how many potions I had in the final boss of Dragon Age? I was good for days. And I used almost all of them. But yeah, so it's kind of nice. Once again, doesn't really feel like we're limited. We can still put in the effort to help get the boss down or help allies while not fearing for our lives completely. So it's kind of nice. Now, there's a handful of other things we do too, but off the top of your guys' head, is there any other rules, a lot of homebrew rules that we like to use consistently in our games?
You're making me think.
I'm sorry. You didn't do homework to do this ahead of time?
You think I ever did homework?
It's fair.
I was a strong C student, damn it.
Average. That's all we needed to pass.
I wasn't aiming for honor roll. I am fine with mediocrity. Trying to think of like, I know I've like homebrewed the unarmed attack for non-monks. I have always thought that was the biggest bullshit in the world. It's like, oh, you're not a monk, your punch only does 1 damage.
Yeah, for like a barbarian coming at your face.
Barbarian, 20 strength, walking forward, cracking their knuckles. It's 1 damage plus strength modifier. Why?
Yeah.
How in any world that's like, have you ever seen people fight? Even the most untrained person is going to be causing some damage with those punches. But
they might break their hand in the process, but they're going to do some damage.
So the way that I take it is like, no, everybody starts off at 1d4 damage with the fists. It's just monk, because it's a monk thing, can go higher up. It's just part of their class ability. You start off at 1d4, but then you're going to climb up. And like I've heard counter arguments like, well, it doesn't make like the monk feel special if they're doing the same amount of damage as everyone else at 1d4 in the base levels. And it's like, well, when somebody wields a sword, or a longsword, they're all doing 1d8. And like they're trained fighters, you know, they're trained barbarians, whatever. It's like the only person who progresses in that attack string is the monk.
Yeah.
And so you still get to keep that specialty, because once you get up a high enough level, you've got now a d6 and a d8, and it's going to be climbing, while everybody else, if they need to punch something, is still sitting at a d4.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, a monk can punch somebody like 5 or 6 times in a turn if they really want to. So even if the barbarian is having that same damage die output with their punches, you know, the barbarian might get 3 punches off in a round. That's half of what the monk does.
Yeah. Hell, even a fighter just acts to surge for days and you're still not... I get a fighter too. Usually, if you're not high dex, you're at least dipping quite a bit into strength. Same thing. You're not putting that much damage output. It's like, give some love to some of the other classes. Yeah, that's dumb. And it's funny because Gilliam, I was actually getting ready to add that as well, is the skill adjustments. Is that we don't do it for every single campaign, but when it's relevant, we definitely change it. So it's like, you're a druid, why wouldn't you be proficient in nature? Well, my intelligence is low because I'm wisdom based. So that's dumb.
I have to interject on this one, like I do every single time the subject comes up. It's not homebrew. That's rules as written. It says right in the player's handbook that you can swap out those skills for different checks depending on what's relevant for the situation and your character.
True. We just can't change it. I think you can. No, I don't think you can change it.
We get to ask the DM, is it appropriate if I use this skill instead?
Yeah.
And rules as written, the DM can change it to whatever skill they want.
I mean, even if it wasn't rules as written, the DM is still changing the skill to whatever they want.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, a barbarian making an intimidation check with charisma, no.
I think that's something that the majority of D&D players and DMs overlook, is that optional rule in the book. It's a very, very crucial optional rule, but it's overlooked by so many people.
But everybody uses it anyway.
It is. I think it's because a lot of people focus, like what I do, I just focus on what it shows on the paper, and it's just like, that's dumb. Why can't we change it?
Well, and I mean, it's something that's in the physical book or PDF for the newer generations. And you really only look through those books a handful of times before you
That's it.
commit to memory what you need for your character. So you're
Oh,
never really
true.
going back and looking through those optional rules again. So if you don't
Yeah.
catch it that first time around, chances are you forget it's there.
I need to remind
mention-
myself
Sorry, go ahead.
the next time I'm playing a character in a D&D campaign to use the optional attack moves from the Midgard book.
They're good.
Yeah.
Because they have a lot of good abilities, and like it's
Mhm.
like that's wide open. But I think that's like the most overlooked option in our games is nobody use, or not nobody, but it is very rarely used.
Hmm.
I use them every opportunity I get, but I don't get a lot of opportunities because I don't play a lot of martial characters.
No, you
I
play
haven't
wizards.
lately. Yeah, I haven't lately because I am very much aware of it. But yeah, only until pretty much Nile. It's like I've done nothing but spell casting lately, so it's like I'll come back to you. But yeah, you're right. A lot of things are overlooked because they're so focused on either the new shiny classes or spells. Or like, oh no, there's so much more fun stuff you can do in there. Like there's a handful of times too where they're like, oh, I really want to do this, but the background doesn't make sense. And I'm like, well, what about this from Midgard or any other Kobold Press book? And they're like, that works. I'm like, yeah, there's stuff in there too. So
Or
yeah, check
you
them
do
out.
you do what Fox does.
Make
Create
shit
a
up.
completely new class with a spells. Like, hey, what about this? And I'd be like, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah.
That is a
Yep.
thing that I do often.
I noticed that we're doing that a bit more, and I like that, where we're trying to create a character we want, but still keep it balanced, as long as we talk to Rhojin about it. And the last kind of couple of newer campaigns, we've come up with new classes and races, and that have been fun, that we do post up on our Discord. I can't remember if we're slightly behind or not. I don't think so.
We are.
Are we behind? Okay, we'll have to post the new ones.
I haven't posted any of the new races in the Armory Discord.
And
Yeah,
I'm a little
versus-
bit behind as well because I want to
Oh god, yeah.
revamp all the ones that I have posted and then just post them all
Right.
together.
Yeah.
But I do have a problem where, you know, not to be called out by both Rhojin and Rosa here, but I can't stop making homebrew classes. Like even when I was running Null Way Out, I was having this problem too. Like I created a whole class for an NPC that wasn't even involved in a fight. But I
Wait,
made a
what
whole
NPC
subclass
was
for
it? What was it? Was it the
It was
was it that paladin or whatever we came across?
it was the monk NPC that you guys talked to for like 30
Right.
minutes and then never saw again. I created a whole
Yeah.
subclass for that NPC, knowing he was never going to fight anyone. He was a Way of the Seer monk. It's a really cool subclass, I think, anyway. But it's like a divination monk. But yeah,
Which I think it's, I don't think it's monk. I think it's an actual subclass for sorcerer or cleric. I think it's a cleric that is in Kobold Press, where it's a seer. And I think that we could easily take those, which we have done. Like for instance, Rhojin, some of you have caught it, some of you may not. Ball's class, her subclass in Withered Waste is made up. It's essentially the same thing for a shadow sorcerer, but for a wizard, obviously with some differences to make it unique. But she really wanted to play that, but unfortunately it didn't exist for wizard. So changed it up, kind of made their own abilities and features, class features, when, you know, got to the appropriate levels. And now it's unique. So sometimes even something as simple as that, where it's like, well, we don't have to make a whole new thing, but this is what I want to do. Let's kind of fuse it or take elements of something and put it together. So,
I think
yeah, you didn't know that?
we all have
Yeah.
the problem where we see a thing that we think looks kind of cool, but know we could do it better.
I mean, the whole thing
Let's
that got
revamp
me.
Ranger Beastmaster. Let's go.
the redo it, okay.
Yeah.
They the whole thing that got me into like doing actual custom classes, because I had always like I've done a ton of custom races, custom magic items, everything, but I always shied away from custom races because I always felt like that was like the easiest way to break anything. But I started getting into creating classes and whatnot. Funny enough, when I created all of your custom classes and subclasses for the Kobold Christmas game.
Yes. Yeah. And that was
And
that was obtainable for you because I was 8 of us and we were like level 6. So it's like, okay, cool. Not so many features it's contained.
It's like
but
subclass.
still
It's
a
like
lot.
subclass, and you've got 2 features.
Yeah. And they were fun. They were so much fun. I wanted to like know what the higher levels were. And it was just
You're
so,
never
like,
gonna find out.
Good. I know.
You're never gonna find out.
Like what was Gillitam's? It was like she was a druid. It was like Circle of Gingerbread or something
Circle
like
of Gingerbread
that.
or something
It was
like that. Yeah.
Oh my god! And the good berries were gingerbread men. It was
For
or gummies.
subclasses that were only available to disciples of the raccoon.
Yep. And they were
Malls,
so fun.
Malls, what it was you have the book with all your spells and stuff in it.
Yes.
The thing is shadow magic in and of itself, Circle of Gumdrops, that's what it was. All of the shadow magic and everything is meant for sorcerers and warlocks. So I had to go through and I made a custom subclass for wizard for you in order for you to be able to specialize in the shadow magic, because you wanted Zenith to be able to wield shadow magic. So I just created a little a school specialization for wizard.
Yeah. So it's still those spells, and just like most of Kobold Press, most of the spells are accessible to different classes. Some of them are limited, depending on the prerequisites and whatnot. But yeah, what I remember what you wanted to do specifically was basically a shadow sorcerer, but you were a wizard, and those abilities weren't accessible to you because it was a different class. So that's why it was adjusted. Just like with Fox making up his own, or making certain races because it's like, oh, I really want to play this. I think it would fit the theme and the vibe of what we're doing, as long as, we find a balance. And I know Rhojin and Fox and I, at least the playable classes and races that we've done so far, we've shared with each other saying like, hey, is this balanced? Like, is this good? What changes should we make? That way, if anyone else in the future wants to play them, they can. Just like now with the crap, I forgot what the race is called. The bat race.
The Lepac.
The Lepac, thank you. Was just an NPC. Actually, the Hakari were just NPCs. And then now we're in different campaigns and people are like, I really want to play that. Where can I get different stats?
I have a way of doing that with my games, to where I will treat it like an MMO, to where here comes this new race and everything, and it's not available now, but it's available in a future setting.
In the next game, in the DLC.
And I know when everybody meets the dinosaur people in Tricorn Isles, everyone's gonna want to be the dinosaur person.
Girl, I'm already thinking
we're gonna have
about
a bunch of reptars running around.
Okay, you thought the kobolds were bad? We're just gonna be a pack of raptors, and that's it.
Are you gonna finally have a group name and just call yourself the Clever Girls?
Maybe. I don't know, we all keep playing female characters. Hardly any males, so might as well. Clever Girls. Actually, no, men are involved. You don't have a say. Clever Girls. So, yeah, so it's a 50-50 of Rhojin introducing these creative new races to us that we're like, ooh, shiny, we want to play that in the future. And then us saying, ooh, this is technically a race, it's just not a playable race, let's implement this into the story.
It's like, it is now.
Yeah, we're doing it now. So, like Valkyries are a thing. Why not make them a playable race? Just like Dryads exist.
Yeah, Yuriko is a Frigid North Warlock.
Yeah, So that's a brand new homebrew subclass. So yeah, it just, what I really, really love about Rhojin's games, and Fox, you do too in Sonata, where you give us the freedom to basically take the rules and say, screw you, I'm gonna do something unique, but of course make it balanced, so we can still be what we want. And then of course we just do the Tasha rules, where we're just like, we don't worry about we'll still add the traditional, like, hey, here's the attribute increases for this race because it makes sense for that race, but we still do the Tasha's rules of, we do what we want for the +2/+1.
Yeah, and so the reason why I do that for my games as on the DM side is let players basically be whatever they want, is because I want a player to care about the character that they're playing. And a player can't care about the character they're playing if they can't connect with the character they're playing. And the easiest way for somebody to connect with their character is for them to portray the person or construct that they either feel they are or want to be in any given moment. So giving them the freedom to pick the race or species that they want, and then working with them to make it balanced within the world is always going to be my go-to.
Yeah. And it's always been so much fun, because I've had the pleasure and joy doing that with both Rhojin and HBfox. Like, fairies weren't a thing, and I thought it would be pretty funny to play a fairy in the first Sonata game. So, you know, we got together and tweaked it. So as long as, at least with all of our campaigns, as long as you tell one of the DMs, hey, I have an idea, I think I speak for all of us when I say we are very open to working with you to make it work. Class-wise or race.
It's like, look, my campaign at some point in time along the line of playing is going to turn into an 80s cartoon anyway, so might as well have the 80s cartoon characters in there. You want a dinosaur, you know, riding another dinosaur, shooting lasers out of its hand? Fuck it, let's do it.
Making that note for Mass Effect. Okay. Space notes. So yeah, so in conclusion, and that kind of covers everything too, like we did before, like even just like bumping a skill or an ability or anything, it's like, as long as you talk to us saying, hey, I have this idea, it's improv rules, yes, and like, yeah, what do you want to do?
To a point.
Let's make it work. To a point, yes. Also, we don't want anything freaking, you know, we still want to keep it within a certain boundary, but that boundary, you can stretch pretty far before you hit that boundary. I don't think we've ever had an issue with that.
I have only had to say no to like a small handful of things, but it's usually this isn't going to work. Let's talk and see if we can make it work.
Yeah.
It's like the one thing I do have like an initial no to is when one of like the old homebrew wiki websites gets brought up, because that stuff is like fanfiction.net in regards to powers, and it is extremely broken and it's not balanced, and it's just like,
careful those homebrew ones.
Like I get where you're coming from. Let me take a look at it. Let me see if I could tweak it, because right now you're level 4 and this is giving you a all too powerful nuclear option. Let's not do this.
Yeah.
I don't need your level 1 character carrying around a fat man and from Fallout and just start launching nukes at goblins.
There is only one rule in Rhojin's games that is
no drow.
Much hit that limit. No drow.
No drow.
Yep. No drow.
And if you somehow manage to slip in a drow, no wonder dark.
2 drow. 2 drow in your campaign.
You are just a strange phenomena.
Although, to be fair, one of the drows was technically an ASMR. ASMR, technically, by rules, could be anything.
Yeah.
He just was a descendant of a drow with celestial blood.
No, I that was my slip up, because It was like, yeah, I want to play this. I'm like, yeah, that looks cool. And then it wasn't like 2 episodes until I was like, fuck, they're a drow.
But they're an ASMR. But yeah, no, you made it work.
Yeah, it's like, I'll make it work. It's just drow honestly just do not fit into like my campaign setting because there's no Underdark.
That's fair. I'm sitting over here going, let me be a dark elf, but I have an elf problem, so
You do have an elf problem.
I have an elf
What version of Eladrin are you playing this time in Sonata?
It's my, let's see, I'm doing the Eladrin, so it's spring this time around. Haven't done spring yet. And now I'm an astral elf.
I'm just waiting for you like to run out of seasons, and then you're gonna make like the pumpkin spice Eladrin or some shit.
Oh my god. Can I be a pumpkin spice? I'm gonna walk around with lattes and Ugg boots all campaign.
You are like the most basic bitch like character out there.
She's a redhead with like the orange hair. She's got a knitted sweater.
Doesn't take any sort of any like multi-class, doesn't use anything but like the most like basic run-of-the-mill weapons. Like every one of their magic items is from the book itself. They're like absolutely no homebrew items on them.
I feel like with the armor, if I'm gonna do this typical basic bitch getup, I'd have to be a spellcaster because there's no way armor would work with that. I mean, I could make it work, but it's so much more fun if I don't make it work.
You could make leather work.
Challenge accepted.
You know, you make them a druid.
Sonata 5. I'm gonna be a pumpkin spice Eladrin.
You make them a druid, and all their good berries are pumpkin spice flavored.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, forget running a campaign. We're going to be running a coffee shop.
I'm down for this. Oh my goodness. All right, we're going to take a small break. Because yeah, we're hitting that hour mark right now. So I know I said we have a lot to say on the next one, so I may push it to 45 minutes. But if I go any longer, we're never going to end this episode.
Fox, get the PowerPoint presentation ready.
I have a checklist, but I feel like I'm going to let Fox take over this next segment and then put in my 2 cents if they hit a certain subject that I want to comment on. But I can say we're pretty much all on the same page. But yeah, so get up, stretch, refill your drink. We'll be back in just a couple minutes with how we feel about the new rules and if that will affect us at all with our show. We'll be right back. few may or may not know about this, but about 2-3 weeks ago roughly is when it was announced that there are new books with new rules coming out for I almost said Mass Effect. Wow. Dungeons and Dragons. Um just to give you a quick little rundown before we get into it, they have changed and added things such as new things you can do while in combat, uh, new abilities you can do as far as like your origins and feats. They have a bunch of new feats and spells coming out. A lot of things that are very much either race, class, or combat focus. At least what they've announced, the majority of it so far. For example, just like what it used to do, you would pick your race, and those would determine your ability score increase. Not anymore. That is now your backgrounds that you choose. And races are no longer called races.
They're
called
species.
something else, like species. Yeah,
Which
there's
honestly
like ancestry.
is verbiage that should have been changed years ago. Race hasn't been the appropriate term for it for like 10 years.
True. And that's just a name change, and we're just like, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, because that doesn't affect much. But there's little things too, like they added, this used to be a thing in D&D long time ago, where they added something called hero inspiration. Pretty much what our inspiration does do now, where if we get inspiration, we see a roll, we don't like it, we're like, oh, I'm gonna re-roll, and then you keep that new roll. Now this is a thing that you can do in battle from anyone. Now they've added a couple of things I do like, a lot of things I don't like, but there are a couple of things I'm like, that's not bad. I wouldn't mind implementing some of that stuff. But we'll get there. So I'm gonna mostly turn this over to Fox and Rhojin, because to be completely honest, none of this shit affects me as a DM because I play Mass Effect for DMing. However, this will still very much affect me as a player, so very much figuring out what the hell's gonna go on. But I will leave it over to them to kind of explain, and then I will just put in my sense, or say my piece on a couple of things if we don't cross them. So just be mindful of our 30 to 45 minute time frame, Fox.
I will do my best.
So,
little do we know,
Fox.
this is the record-breaking stream where we go 6 hours.
Oh no, we would do
I
it
could
too.
talk for 6 hours.
We would do it. All of us, 100%.
You know what? I could probably talk for 6 hours on the druid changes alone.
Yeah, that reminds me. We still are accepting shit, so if you have any questions, obviously we're gonna read and probably occasionally comment on opinions, for sure, but if you have any questions that you want us to ask specifically, please let us know in chat, that way we will answer them. But for now, we're just gonna give you our opinions and ideas, so
I think I'm gonna start off by perhaps surprising everyone by saying, I think overwhelmingly the changes made in this new system are positive. I think there is an overwhelming number of good decisions made for the mechanics in this system. And I want to start by talking about backwards compatibility, because a lot of people right now seem to think that it is not backwards compatible, but it very much is. Now, it's not a one-to-one conversion, of course, because it's a brand new rule set. It's not going to be one-to-one, but it is so close that a conversion between two systems, two releases, has never been easier. The new player's handbook will even contain a section all about how to use older content with the new rule set, which I was very, very surprised to see. Usually you expect Hasbro to do everything they can to drive their profits higher, but here we are with a book that'll literally tell you how not to buy the new books and use your old ones instead. We can further see evidence of this in the new SRD being published as SRD 5.2 instead of SRD 6.0, because it's not a far step away from all the groundwork that 5e has already laid. This is not D&D 6.0. This is D&D 5.5. And the SRD, for those listening that may not be familiar, is the systems reference document, I think is what it's called, which is basically a free document that contains all the core rules for D&D and serves as a foundation for folks to create and publish their own content for the system. So I wanted to get that out of the way to start with. The new system, as far as everything we have been told and shown, is absolutely backwards compatible with 5e. The next thing I wanted to talk about is classes. Now, they have released a lot of information about the classes and the reworks, and we could spend several shows just talking about those alone. But just to go over briefly, we'll be given the 12 base classes at the start, each with 4 subclasses. And for those keeping track, that's almost twice as many subclasses than we got with the 5e Player's Handbook. So we're getting a lot more content in this core book than we did in the 5e core book. Unfortunately, that means no Artificer, though. I know a lot of people are upset about that.
And Blood Hunter, too, I think.
I don't really understand why people are upset about that. Yes, we've had Artificer since 3rd edition, but it has never been a base class.
True.
I looked up the years on this because I had to make sure my notes were right.
Fox was efficient, guys. Like, he got this down.
I wanted to make sure that I wasn't talking out of my ass with any of this. I wanted to make sure I had the actual facts and wasn't just saying opinion, though there is obviously a lot of opinion in this. Artificer was released as a playable class in 2004, which was 4 years after the release of 3rd edition. And 4th edition, Artificer was released a year after those core rules came out. And we didn't even get Artificer in 5e until the end of 2019.
Yeah.
A full 5 years after the system first came out.
Yeah.
It was never going to be included on initial release with this. And I kind of feel like any expectation to the contrary is a bit unreasonable. I get it for those that love Artificer, but it was never.
It's not a core class. It's not a core class.
My take on it is I think it's because it was one of the classes that had already been introduced into 5th edition that it would have gotten the ports over with like the other ones as well. I can understand why they didn't do it, but as somebody who enjoys the Artificer class, I just wanted I wanted the new car smell on it as well as like, you know, they're getting like all their classes are getting like 4 subclasses and everything. Some of the subclasses look really cool, but it's like Artificer still gonna play it, but it's going to be coming in from 2014, and it may feel a little out of place going into like the 2024 thing, because you're coming in with like the old way with like how everything was designed, and you're being converted over to 2014, or 2014 is being brought back into or 2024 is being brought back into 2014, depending on how your DM is doing it. And I get it's just, I think a lot of people are feeling that the class itself isn't going to feel as special because it doesn't have the new hotness on it.
Yeah, which I can totally understand. And I probably should have prefaced all of that by saying that Artificer is my least favorite class in 5e. So maybe I have some bias against it. But I also want to say that it's not my least favorite because I don't like the ideas behind it. I absolutely love what Artificer could be. It's my least favorite in 5e because I've always felt like it could have been so much more than what it was. Being a late entry into 5e, I feel like it didn't receive the love and attention that it deserved. And my hope for 5.5
All right.
is that we see Artificer make an appearance within like a year or two of the core rules and receive as extensive of a rework as like Warlock did, for instance. I think it's deserving of that attention. And I think, in my opinion, not trying to cram it into the initial release was the right move for the class in the long run. We'll get it, and it'll come alongside whatever Eberron supplement we get for 5.5.
And I will say,
Yeah.
Artificer in 5e is probably one of my favorite classes. So
Compare the previous versions.
it can definitely have used a bit more love, because out of the 3 subclasses that you can have, only 2 are technically
Usable.
decent to flow with
Yeah.
D&D, which is the Artillerist and the Battlesmith.
Yeah.
The Alchemist is taken straight out of Pathfinder. It's like almost a 1-for-1 out of Pathfinder First Edition. There was an Alchemist that did the exact same thing.
I hate to say it though, but I
Except they
think
made
Alchemist
bombs.
is. Yeah, I was gonna say I think Alchemist if I remember, because it's been a hot minute since I've looked at that. If I remember correctly, Alchemist and Pathfinder at least sounded more fun what you could do compared to what it is as an Artificer.
Yeah, it's like they had like the arcane, they had the little mixtures that they can drink and Hulk out and stuff like that, and they could quickly put like a bomb together by mixing alchemical reagents that would last 1 round, and they would just pop out and throw it at somebody. But yeah, it was pretty much taken from Pathfinder, and it just doesn't feel like it's a fit for the class.
Yeah.
It's like you have this class that pretty much can Tony Stark magic items, and they've got like the lightning gauntlets, and they're making bags of holding and stuff like that. They've got an iron defender if they're a battlesmith that can fight along with them, or you've got the eldritch cannons from an artillerist.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have the guy who mixes potions. It just doesn't have the same pizzazz to it, and it doesn't necessarily feel like it's a fully fleshed out subclass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like
exactly.
I was hoping when they brought it over, it's like, oh cool, maybe Artillerist is gonna get that fix, and whatever 4 subclasses that they're given is going to be given a little bit more love.
Yeah,
but see, that goes back to what we were saying before, that's the best part about what we do. At least if we want to make our own subclass for Artificer, I'd say we do it. That way we get our own. Does it suck that Wizards of the Coast is not doing it? Yeah, but won't stop us.
Yeah. And as far as this stuff goes, like I mentioned, my hope is that it comes out early enough in the system's life that it can receive all the love and attention that it did not get in 5e.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But moving forward from classes, because like I say, they have done deep dives on all the not all, but like half, I think, the base classes have deep dive articles published, so you can see all the details there, like the actual factual details, not the crap that people love to make up on the internet because they hate everything new. So if you're interested in seeing all of that stuff, I highly recommend you seek out those articles and look at those changes for yourself. There's a lot of really cool stuff happening there. A lot of stuff that makes me sad, like the druid's infinite HP pool is finally being taken away. Makes me sad, but it's the right move.
Oh, because druids are going to be busted?
Yeah, they're no longer going to have that infinite HP pool, but they do get cool things like their wild shape transformation now gets tacked on as temp HP instead of a new HP pool. So they don't get knocked out of their wild shape form like that anymore. They can actually hold it for a long time, which is great.
Yeah, I actually like that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of minor stuff like that the D&D community has been asking for a long time, and we're finally starting to get it.
Yeah.
But stepping away from the classes for a second, I did want to talk about spells, because there seems to be a lot of misconception about the new magic rules and stuff as well. And one of the biggest additions here that a lot of people seem to be confused about is the magic action. The addition of a magic action isn't a change to the action economy, like some people seem to think it is. It's a grouping. It's a type of action within the action economy, much like how attacking is a type of action. Spells, and I assume some other types of magical effects or abilities, we don't know yet, will now be labeled as magic actions, regardless of whether they're an action or bonus action or reaction. They are that, in the same way that a bonus action attack is still an attack action. You know, a spell is a magic action. And I'm looking forward to this because I think this will really help to clarify situations where you aren't sure if an affliction affects your spell or not, based on whether or not your spell contains an attack roll. It'll eliminate confusion like that entirely. So it really opens up the door for magic specific buffs and status effects, and if certain magical abilities get classed as magic actions as well, and I suspect they will, it will really give us as players more opportunity to interfere with a monster's action. And of course, the other side of that coin, monsters will have more opportunity to fuck with our abilities as well, because there will absolutely be things in this system that are specific to impacting magical actions, like counterspell type things and interruptions, various reactions that you know they're going to put in there that affect magic actions specifically. But I definitely wanted to cover that and make sure people knew that they aren't changing the action economy. The action economy is still action, bonus action, reaction.
I thought they were adding two new actions
into it
for non-spell casters as well. They were adding like an additional thing or two you can do while you do it. I can't remember what the specifics were called, but I remember there was like you could do one or two extra things per turn now.
There
I'd have
is
to look that up.
some other mechanical stuff in there that you can do during your turn, but in relation to magic specifically,
Right.
the magic action is not a change to the economy, just to the categorization.
Right.
Another thing that I wanted to mention with magic is ritual casting as a class ability has been removed. Now, you shake your head, but I think it is fantastic that they've done this. Now,
it's a racial. They removed it as a class ability or a race ability.
Ritual casting in its entirety has been removed.
No more ritual casting.
Now, any spell casting class can ritual cast a ritual spell that they have prepared. Any spell casting class. So, arcane tricksters, eldritch knights, paladins, rangers, sorcerers, and warlocks, you no longer have to take a feat in order to ritual cast. It's just part of your spell casting now. And wizards have the added benefit of not having to prepare ritual spells. If they know a spell that's a ritual spell, they can just do it as a ritual without having to prepare it. But now the other magic classes, they don't have to waste a feat on ritual casting in order to do it. They can just do it. As it should have been. You're going to go somewhere else with that.
Never mind. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I thought you were going to go somewhere else with that, but I was like, no, I agree with this. Yeah, no, this is fine.
It was a good move. Yeah. One that should have been done in 5e. As somebody that plays primarily casters, it just should have been part of it.
It makes sense. If you're a spellcaster, it really should have been open to all casters, to be honest.
It really should have been. And I get that they tried to do that with the feat, the ritual casting feat, but feats are very far and few between for casters. So you have to be really picky about what you do with them.
Mhm.
And using a feat on ritual casting kind of felt like wasting a feat.
Yeah, I agree. Like what we mentioned earlier, it's like, oh, I have to take, firearms so I can use a gun. It's like, no, thankfully Road allows you time so you can learn how to use it. Just like how I don't think any of us thought of it, but like I'm sure if we were given the opportunity to be like, hey Road, can I just learn to ritual cast this instead of taking the damn feat to waste it? So it's like I'm glad that this is now an option where it's not going to be an issue.
Yeah, and wizards don't have to feel bad about suddenly everybody being able to do this, because like you say, wizards have that added benefit of not having to prepare their ritual spells. If they know it, they can do it.
Yeah.
And on the note of spells as well, a lot of spells that we use and a lot of spells that we never use have been buffed big time and made worth using. Like Cure Wounds has been bumped up to 2d8 instead of 1d8 at its base. Prayer of Healing now grants the benefits of a short rest in addition to the healing that it grants. Spells like Cloud of Daggers, which were great on the first round when you used them, but suck afterwards because your enemy just moves one tile to the left. Those spells can now be shifted on the battlefield as well, so they are usable again in subsequent rounds. Chromatic Orb, they mentioned, now has the chance to hit additional targets. It's all stuff that the community has been asking for a long time, and now we'll have it.
Adding on top of that is just kind of adding that real quick, that's one of the things I love where they added Cleave. Where like I have this big ass axe and I can only hit one person if I swing. Stuff. What if I want to pull a Link, do a spin attack, and have a chance to hit someone else? No. One square.
Yeah.
So I like that they implement that where if you have the opportunity to hit 3 people lined up side to side, now you can.
Yep. Yeah, and spellcasting has always been very powerful at low levels in D&D. But as you reach higher levels, it gets easier and easier for targets to beat your DCs and just sidestep your spells. And the damage output and utility of spellcasting falls off dramatically as you get higher in levels. And it sounds to me like they're trying to rectify that, at least to some degree, which is something I personally have been asking for many years. It's why you always see me go after items in our games that will like boost my DC and stuff, because spellcasting at times feels useless without it. And these are changes, in my opinion, that are very, very much needed for spellcasting, and I am thrilled to see them a part of 5.5. There is one other thing with spellcasting, and I have my diagram ready for this one.
Oh, right. Here we go.
Let me just copy the link here so I have it. This is actually a really short thing on this one.
Go gadget PowerPoint.
Yeah, this is Emanation has been added as a new area of effect for magic. I wanted to cover this because it is really important, but also a little bit minor. And it's less of a new area of effect and more of a verbiage change and clarification. So all those times where we were never sure whether we should be including the point of origin in our radius measurements or not, now we don't ever have to wonder about that. They've made that distinction. There's sphere, which includes the point of origin in your measurement, and there's emanation, which does not include the point of origin in your measurement. So if you had a radius of, say, 20 feet, that's going to be a diameter sphere of 8 squares. But if it's an emanation, then it's a diameter of 9 squares.
Did you post this somewhere?
Not yet.
Okay. Not yet.
I was getting really
He's building
confused.
up to it. He's building up to it.
Waiting for Zoro's eyes to glaze over as we talked about math, so I could post the diagram.
Okay. You know, I want to feel
So-
personally attacked, but you're not
Monster
wrong.
asleep post math.
I whipped up this little diagram earlier.
Did you see me try to concentrate? Like,
Visuals are always a lot easier than just trying to think of the numbers yourself. So that shows the difference between a 20-foot radius sphere and a 20-foot radius emanation. It is a pretty important distinction when it comes to area of effect spells, but anyone that isn't a caster probably doesn't give a shit.
I'm gonna post this real quick on our stream for those watching this on playback of what he is talking about. We're gonna cover us here for just a second. But yes, the sphere versus emanation is what he's talking about of the area of points and yeah, that radius. So
Really, really
Really
important for
nice, yeah.
spellcasters. Nobody else cares.
everyone else is like, I
Until
give no shits.
until grenades start using it.
Until grenades start using it.
Oh, hello!
Little goblin of the fat man running out in the field.
So yeah, no, I like that. It's because that does confuse, even though I know what I'm reading and I know what it means, but it's like, okay, I just need an extra step of clarification here.
The way some spells were previously worded, which has also been changed in the new edition, a lot more clear in the new edition, but in 5e, some of the spells were worded in really kind of backwards ways that even a seasoned spellcaster reads it and they're like, wait, so where am I targeting this? And
Yeah.
now we know. Now we have those answers. Now we never have to, well, shouldn't say never. There's still going to be times. Less often now, we have to stop in the middle of battle and go, DM, can you break out like the protractor and figure this out for me? Because I don't get it.
DM, can you know this shit better than me? No, that just involves math.
That is a really, really good addition to it. That distinction of emanation. And the next topic, Zoro actually already brought up, is weapon mastery. Weapon mastery is a really cool thing that they are adding in for martial classes with new ways to use their chosen weapons, like being able to do cleave attacks or even making your offhand attack as part of the attack with your main hand, which frees up your bonus action to do other stuff.
Yes.
The weapon mastery looks like it gives you even more freedom and utility with your weapons in a very similar way in which the weapon skills from Cobalt Press do. And the more options, the better, honestly. It doesn't muddy up the mechanics at all with the way that they've presented it, but it still adds a whole lot more options for players to use and monsters to use as well. And that's always positive.
There's a bit of a list too. I don't have it all memorized. I just remember the two that specifically stuck out for me, and that was Cleave and Nick. Pretty much what you described. So like a rogue can go in now with both of its knives, go jab jab, and that just counts as an action because you nick and still free up your bonus action to do what you need to do instead of going, well, I'm a dual wielder, but I have to use both to. I do like that. I actually think that's a little addition.
And I mean, a lot of those were kind of the main points that I wanted to cover. Like a week ago, I was very nonchalant about 5.5 coming out in a couple months. I didn't really care about it, and I didn't really read about it either. But since we mentioned the other day that we were going to be talking about it on this show, I have been reading and researching nonstop, and I have come to the consensus that I'm really excited for it. A lot of the mechanical changes that have me excited are things that we've been asking for or homebrewing ourselves for years. So though I do really take issue with the way this edition is being sold to us, I do really like what I'm seeing with this edition mechanically. You can clearly see the influence of the community in this edition of D&D. It's just a shame that it's being sold to us the way it is.
Mhm.
That's my biggest gripe right there, is the way that
Yeah.
they're doing it. And
Yeah.
it's like the one thing that I've been mainly complaining about is I won't make it a like 100% definitive statement. This is my opinion. Dungeons and Dragons does not need a pre-order system like a AAA video game.
No,
There's absolutely no way, shape, or reason why pre-ordering the books digitally gets you access to the game 2 weeks ahead of time, or 1 week ahead of time if you buy the heroic edition. That in a sense, if it's like like in a general sense, like, okay, one person is spending $180 and buying those books for 2 weeks early access for like the digital content. But the thing is in order to be able to play that for like 2 weeks early, everybody in your group has to spend that $180 to get that access, because they're going to need access to the books. And it just does not sit right with me, because like I hate that AAA game studios do that. Like, it's like, oh, here's $130 collector's edition for a single player game. Buy it now, play it a couple days early. It feels predatory, and even more so in this sense.
Mhm.
It's like you're not gaining anything from it. There's no limited quantity that you desperately need to pre-order the game for. You're going to get your edition of D&D no matter what. It isn't like there's like a finite limit to how many digital versions of this game are going to be sold. It's I just don't like it.
Now, if they did something like, I'm not saying that this makes it better, but if they did something like, hey, you get this cool statuette of something, plus a dice set and a dice bag, all this other physical stuff, that makes it a little better than just, hey, you get to play it early.
Give me a second.
Like,
I was looking at the pre-order page earlier because of what they offer. Let me see.
All that D&D Beyond garbage.
The D&D Beyond garbage. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Because it's like you pre-order it and you get like, if you buy the big version, you get like 15 digital dice set or 12 digital dice sets, one for each class.
oh,
You get
yeah.
10 character frames to add for your character portraits. You get a backdrop for your character sheet. And the DMs get a gold dragon token to use on the D&D Beyond tabletop space. And it's just like, that's not $180.
No.
Yeah. No.
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 It's like,
it really,
if you could justify that this is worth $180,
yeah,
then yeah. But for like a pre-order bonus to play the game 2 weeks early, get a couple flares for like your token and like your character sheet that nobody else can see, and a dragon that your DM gets access to, it just, it's not right.
It really is a shame that it's being packaged and sold to us the way it is, because I do truly believe that this is a very mechanically sound version of 5e. It's not a new system. It is 5e at its heart, but it's updated and brought into the modern day, not the way the game space was 10 years ago when 5e came out. But it's just being sold to us in such an awful way that I think people go into it having already formed a negative opinion before they even look at these mechanical changes in the system.
And I mean, that's what's driving me away from buying it, is the way that it's being marketed. It's like everything that I've seen on it sounds cool.
Yeah.
But it's like, do I want to support some like this way of marketing? And like at the end of the day, at the moment, no, I don't.
Yeah.
It's like, doesn't prevent me from playing D&D because I still have the books. If I need to make changes to something like that, or if like somebody's like, hey, this is how 2024 does it, can we possibly interact in like this way? I don't need to spend $180 for that, or $240 after this, you know, the 60% discount rate from the pre-order goes away. I can, just incorporate it.
Yeah.
Now, all that being said, there is one thing in this edition that has me excited far and above all the mechanical changes that we've talked about so far. It's something that has been neglected for far too long, and frankly, I was very surprised to see them dive into it in this edition. I think it's flown underneath the radar of a lot of people, and that's monster ecology. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the lore that we have on monsters, and as they've added new monsters and new locations, we've gotten new lore, but the flagship monsters of D&D have largely had their lore and biology unchanged for decades and simply rehashed with each new edition.
Yeah.
Now, if you've seen the new art for dragons that they teased a couple months ago, then you know what has me so excited. I can really only go off what little they have shown us of the dragons. They've been really tight-lipped about monsters so far.
They have.
We won't know the full extent of these changes until the monster manual releases, but the direction that they've given their artists has clearly been one of real-world adaptations. They've given proper thought to these creatures and how their environment shapes them over time. And we see that being reflected most notably in their coloration. Monochrome colors for these dragons were great in 1992, but that was back when more colors in a book had more expense to it in production, and when all our toys were injection molded in a single color because that's all our technology could do. That is not the world that we live in anymore. And these monsters no longer need to abide by those limitations, and they don't. We see that in the greenish oxidized patina that the ancient copper dragons now carry between their scales and across their backs, and we see that in the white and black underbellies of these massive red dragons that allow them a modicum of camouflage as they fly through the smoke that their fiery breath
They put
leaves
a
behind.
lot more thought into it.
There is real thought put into the way these creatures interact with their environments.
The gold dragons. Oh my god.
Yeah, there
they're
are
gorgeous.
stories and heritage built into the way that these creatures look. And
yes, I agree.
Is not something that D&D has ever had on an edition-wide scale before. And for that reason, for that forethought and very surprising attention to detail, I'll be buying the physical books. I may not be buying any future books, depending on what's contained within those core books. But they have, in my mind at least, earned a chance to prove themselves to me with this newest edition. And I do implore everyone who is truly curious about the new edition to make your own decisions about it, to go out there and read through all the deep dives that they've published on the new Player's Handbook, and to stay off of Reddit.
Oh god.
Because getting your D&D news off of Reddit is like getting your world news from opinion articles.
Never get news
getting your
off
world
Reddit.
News from Reddit.
Don't
never get news off Reddit. Reddit is garbage for news. Don't ever get your period from Reddit.
The most important part of all of this, of course, is if you're going to purchase new books or old books, try to purchase them from a local shop or even a bigger bookstore in your area. Do your best to avoid purchasing anything on D&D Beyond if you can help it. Not everyone can, and that's okay. But for those that do have the option, I implore you to take it.
Comic book shops.
Unfortunately, most of the unfortunately there aren't any games shops around me anymore. Yeah, I love the looks of the dragons. The dragons are absolutely amazing.
And
Oh, you
Um,
posted them.
this is-
Oh,
this is
yeah.
it's not
The-
something
oh.
that we've ever had
You
on
are
this scale
like
before.
they
in
are
D&D.
like
Yeah.
the
It's
titular
fucking
monster
gorgeous.
of the whole thing, but then like they were, very like classic medieval dragon
Oh.
Yeah.
all the time. But I love what they're doing with the dragons.
Is that what my
I'm not-
mithril dragon's gonna look like when it's grown up? That new
Yeah.
one? Yeah!
I mean, I kind
They
of
may
like
have to
I
wait a
kind
few
of
100 years, but
I
it'll
kind
get
of
there.
dig how the mithril dragon looks, because like if you didn't know that was a dragon and it was standing perfectly still,
Look
It
that
looks
just
like a
looks like a
statue.
statue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That just looks like a statue. That right there is
Yeah.
just like everybody's worshiping around
gorgeous.
this statue, and then all of a sudden, shrapnel everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Oh, it's
like,
gonna be gorgeous.
unfortunately, like a lot of like the game shops around me have closed. Like COVID
Yeah.
destroyed them.
That's
so, like,
yeah.
I get my D&D books if I have to buy them. I get them from Barnes and Noble.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
there you go.
I go down
Yeah,
to I go down to a Barnes and Noble down in Brea, and I purchase it from there.
Yeah,
And
there
we're
are
pretty good
plenty-
sharing with each other too if we do
Mhm.
get other copies. We've been very good
Yep.
about that too.
There are plenty of the bigger bookstores, Barnes and Noble, Kohl's, stuff like that do carry D&D books. So if you
Mhm.
don't have like a small game shop or anything in your town
Mhm.
or in your area, absolutely check out those bigger stores.
Yeah.
And as much of a scummy company as Amazon is, I would even say get your books from Amazon over getting them from D&D Beyond. Just, if you can help it, do not support what Hasbro is doing with D&D Beyond. But I also understand you want to play D&D, and sometimes you don't have other options available.
We don't judge you.
Just don't fall for the you can play 2 weeks early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
no.
it's not like you're logging into
Does nothing different.
like an MMO or anything like that where you're like you buy it 2 weeks early, you're gonna have access to play it with everybody who bought it 2 weeks early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still you're still playing D&D with your group of friends that you've been playing with.
And 2 weeks is not enough time to read through all 3 core books anyway. So
Well, and the thing
Now-
is, it's like if the books aren't even being released at the same time, which is the one thing that
No.
bugs me. It's like the player's
No,
handbook's
they're
being
spread out.
released,
Yeah.
but the DM handbook doesn't come out until like a month or two later, and then it's the monster manual, and you need all 3 books to play. So it's
Yep.
like
Mhm.
you're not really paying for 2-week access like from the get go. It's just like I don't know. I don't like it.
So I know I kind of took over the latter half of the show here, but there has
okay.
been a lot of anger about this new system, and I wanted to take some time to talk about the positives of it, because I
Yeah.
think it's deserving of that. It's not the system itself that
No.
deserves the anger. It's the
Mhm.
way it's being sold to us that deserves the
100%.
anger. But
Yeah.
the system,
Mhm.
it's worth your time to at least read through those deep dives and see if
Yeah.
it's something that you're interested in.
And see, Fox is the best person to put that into words,
Mhm.
because I get angry.
Yeah.
I get angry and I go on old man rants. Like when something like just flat out pisses me off, I will start going into just old man rants to where it doesn't make any sense probably about 30 minutes into the rant.
Yeah.
And like the thing that's been pushing me away, like I said, is just the monetization of how they're doing it.
Mhm.
What I've been able to get my hands on, what I've been able to read, looks cool.
Mhm.
I was a little questioning about the backwards compatibility of everything, because the information into the game itself was, yes, it's backwards compatible. No, it's not backwards compatible. Yes, some of it's backwards compatible, but some of it isn't.
There was no clarity. Yeah.
And there was like no clarity,
Yeah.
and depending on like who you got your information from,
Reddit.
it was just not Reddit,
I know
just
that.
like
Just making a joke.
like people in like the TTRPG space,
Yeah.
in the articles, like even the articles themselves didn't hold the same information.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing I want to know is that was that rule that DMs can't crit an actual rule, or is that just still in the rumor mill?
I think that's rumor.
I've
think.
only ever seen players and DMs talking about that. I've never actually seen Wizards themselves publish anything that says that is the case.
Yeah. So I think it's a rumor.
At the worst,
We'll find out.
maybe it was something that they tested and then pulled out once they realized how awful it was.
True.
Once they realized that like everybody in existence was going to say, I'm just going to ignore this rule.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, because the DMs are allowed to have fun too.
Because I'm going to ignore the rule. I'm going to ignore that rule. I mean, if a crit kills my player, a crit kills my player. I mean, they can make a new character.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not like, you die in the game, you get banned from the Discord channel.
Yeah.
Depending on the game you're playing.
Depending on the game. Now, there is 2 things I want to say before we wrap up. One, I'm just going to footnote this real quick because it's on my notes, is that they added 3 different types of backgrounds, feats. They have the regular feats, epic feats, and origin feats. Origin feats is basically everyone now, doesn't matter what your species is, you are now variant human. Everyone starts off with level 1 with a feat. And that feat also incorporates your ability score increases. Then they have the regular feats. And they have something called epic feats, which I want to be excited for, but how many times can you say that you get to use these feats because they are only accessible at level 19? How many campaigns go that?
None of them do.
Rarely, ever, if any.
In 5e, none of them do.
That's what I'm wondering is, did they fix the level 10 issue?
A lot of stuff that I've seen,
and I'm pointing a chopstick at the screen,
is directed at fixing a lot of those high level play issues. That maybe not all of them, but like a lot of the changes to spells address high level play issues.
As a DM, I beg them to give level like CR 20 creatures, give them that danger back, because I am still to this day confused why a CR 20 dragon has 200 HP.
Yeah,
when most level 20 and most level 20 characters can dish out 200 HP damage in
a round,
no problem, because you are geared out, you're magic itemed up the ass, you've got your god powers and stuff like that. It's just
when level 9 fireball will obliterate it right there.
Yeah, it's just like
brutal critical style.
Here is this ancient black dragon, just terror of the skies, whatever. Here comes a level 20 fighter and just slap chops it to death the first round, and it's like, well,
so
free dragon.
My prediction is that on the release of this system, there is going to be a marked improvement in high level play in D&D, and 5 or 6 years down the road, we are going to get our first level 15 to 20 plus adventure, dedicated adventure. That's my prediction.
Which will be fun.
What I want to see?
That would be fun for the comic like tabletop campaigns and everything like that.
I never think it's going to happen, but I want to see level cap increase. I want to see
25.
I want to see 25. I want to see 30. I want to see, I want to see what happens after level 20, not your characters just ascend or decide to retire off to some unknown tavern, just screw with anybody wanting to start a bar fight.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that used to be a thing. I know, but then again, at the same time, the current curse, and I do call it a curse that happens, is most campaigns don't last that long. And that's nothing against anybody playing in the games or anything like that. It's just speaking as somebody who has played D&D for a majority of their lifetime, it is just very hard to keep focus on a game for that long, where everybody has, their own lives, has their own schedules and everything like that. From the kids all the way up to the adults, things happen. You've got sports practice, you've got school, you've got homework, you've got grounded, that sort of thing. All of those things kill campaigns. Real life kills campaigns.
Yeah.
And
that's no one's fault.
Or you're DMing a game, you get distracted and now you want to DM a different type of game because you just saw something that's really cool and you want to do it. And so that campaign that you've been playing for the past year now goes down the drain. Everybody's making new characters.
Yeah.
So it's like, and again, that's nothing on Wizards or anything like that. That's just how human beings.
That's just life.
Yeah.
That's just life. But I want to see something created for those who actually somehow can break the mold and somehow can get to level 20, level 25, level 30. I mean, in this day and age now, to where streaming and online play is now a thing, people are getting to those higher levels. People are getting to like 17, 18, 19 before the end of the
We're
campaign.
proof of that.
And it's just like, give those people more content.
And that's why I'm so thankful for this channel, because a lot of DMs obviously want a campaign to end organically and naturally instead of just, I just really want to get to level 20. So yes, there's a handful of our campaigns where we get to like 17, maybe 18 before we stop. But that's still quite an accomplishment considering we started at level 1 or even 3 because of how long I've committed to that. And that's why I love and I'm so thankful for the channel that we do that. Yeah, there's some things that happen where maybe we have to kind of like start over or revamp something, but for the most part, we get to that end. It'll take us some time, but that's why we've kind of committed the time. And yes, things happen. Sometimes we have to skip episodes. This summer it's been a little extra because some of us have to work overtime. It's just our job. It really sucks. Do we really want to say screw you? Play? Hell yeah, but that is life, just like Rhojin said. But yet here we still are committing that time, still playing these characters because of the story and the people. So I am thankful that we are one of the few people that do reach darn near the top of that max level because of our commitment. So I am very happy about that.
I absolutely love Dungeons and Dragons. Like I said, I've been playing it for like most of my life.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's always been weird to say, my artistic expression. I can't draw worth shit. If you've seen any of the MS Paint maps I've put out, for Fox to, work their magic on, I can't draw worth shit. I am not an artist. Like, all of my artistic bullshittery comes from being able to make campaigns, make items, stuff like that. And I enjoy...
That's art.
I enjoy telling a story. Even if the story, abruptly ends because everybody decided to be a bunch of murder hobos who were trying to play pirate and really didn't play pirate. Or, blow up the first 3 towns you're in and somehow end up going to level 17 and saving the world.
We got there. Never count us out at the beginning. Never count us out.
with like campaign 3, where you guys are at right now, you're level 15. You guys are in the high level play. Everything that is being thrown at you now, like moving forward, is a campaign ending scenario to where if you fail, it's going to end in a TPK. And like, that's why I wanted everybody together for like the Monday show this week, because of what was going to happen. It's just like, because I can't explain that, I can't physically explain why this person who wasn't able to make it, because again, life, their character somehow survived while everybody else just fell into, the celestial meat grinder. And trying to it's like, okay, no, you're still around, go find 4 more level 15 schmucks out there in the Vampire Islands that are going to be able to help you solve whatever the problem is. It's like, you guys are getting into a very dangerous spot. But I'm not worried if you die, because if you die, our world just evolves because of it, and it influences future campaigns, as like a lot of our games, or our D&D games anyway, take place in the same world. And I've already got like another 3-4 campaign ideas that I can be able to just throw out, and we may take a week or 2 off so we can structure everything out. but we're not going to have any downtime. Whereas, you know, back in the day, yeah, I would be one of those DMs who would lose focus. And it was just like, we would be playing a brand new game every month. Like old characters would just fade off into existence. I still have like an old box just full of papers of past characters that I was holding on to people. And it's just like, they got to level 5, they got to level 6, and then we just went to a new game. And that was, again, people weren't able to make it like for quite some time. They lost the desire to keep playing that game, and they wanted to play a new one. So we just made a new one. Mm-hmm. But with how now streaming is and online play is, that problem is taken out of the equation. Because it's just like everybody can sit down at night, during the day, whatever. I mean, if fate was kind and wanted to make it to where I can make this a full-time job, I would most definitely be like, you know what? Would I still do my own streaming? Yeah. But at the same time, a majority of my focus would be put into D&D. Yeah, it's like, I'll run a game Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday.
Not Wednesday.
No, Wednesday's the curse.
Wednesday's still a curse.
Wednesday is a curse. Wednesday is the curse day. That's why we never have shows on Wednesdays anymore, because that is when everything falls breaks apart. That's when all meetings are scheduled for. So, like, I love the whole idea of RPG mixtape. The only problem was it was on a Wednesday and it was canceled so many times.
Yeah. And we're never out to like wanting a story to end. Sometimes dice and circumstances end that way, because of course we never want to see our characters go. We never want to see a story end, but sometimes it happens, and I have to say, thankfully, it really only happened once. Otherwise, we've been pretty fortunate pushing through it.
10, 11 years on this channel, and we've had one TPK.
Yeah,
we've had one TPK in the 10.
You had that one where guys constantly died and made characters going through. Where'd you guys go? You went through hell.
No, that was me constantly dying and making new characters, and Rhojin never being allowed to die.
That was our Chult game.
Yep.
Chult, that's what it was.
My character was cursed to where he could not die, and he just wanted to die.
And Fox just kept dying.
And I just kept dying. Except for my Tabaxi. My Tabaxi didn't die. He was a cat and touched things that shouldn't have been touched, and he got transported to Barovia.
Yeah, he went from Chult hell to Barovia super hell.
Which,
I mean,
yeah. I will say, for those that have been with us for the last 10 years, Hidden Pathway, my Tabaxi, who got teleported to Chult or to Barovia, he lived. My sister ran a Strahd game a few years back, and she needed an extra player like a third of the way into that adventure. So she asked if I was interested. I was like, well, I happen to know a cat who's in Barovia right now. And I joined her campaign as my Tabaxi, Hidden Pathway.
That's cool.
And we, in very heavy quotations, beat Strahd and made it out of Barovia. So Hidden Pathway is out there in the world somewhere.
A win's a win.
So you know what? 1.5 campaigns that way. After 10 years, that's pretty damn good track record.
No, you know what? I'm still going to say 1, because the Chult game didn't end organically. The Chult game was going to be canceled. So
that's true.
Only one actual
1.3.
TPK. Only one TPK, and that was only because you guys messed up to the point to where there was no saving what happened.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it didn't end the world. It allowed the Tricorn to expand naturally anyway. I mean, unfortunately, the wrong person got the credit, and now somebody akin to Super Satan is now in charge of a vast majority of the Tricorn Isles.
Yeah,
that's gonna be fun down the road.
You know, that's a problem for another group of pirates.
Yeah,
you guys are having fate problems in the jungle right now. But yeah, it's just like if Monday's game were to just abruptly end on Monday, like you guys fail miserably.
Don't put that out in the universe.
Oh, it's already out in the universe. I'm already making contingencies as to what's going to happen in the world if you fail. What is going to happen to that island if you fail?
I keep forgetting, just going back to Tricorn real quick, because of what Gillatam said in the chat there. I keep forgetting that Snow served in her army.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is gonna be so much fun.
Snow served in her army, and
Yeah.
I don't know if they worship the ground that she walks on.
We'll find out.
Loyal soldier.
We're gonna have some fun, you and I, Gillatam.
Oh yeah, because of your character. That's right.
Yeah.
That's gonna be fun.
We're only like 6 episodes in, so yeah, we're still very
Only
early
6
on.
episodes in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're still very early on. So yeah, so
I'm
Yeah.
interested to see how you guys go through that on Thursday. It's gonna be fun. I like the way that the story went.
yeah.
Because
Were you worried? You were worried.
in a way, because of
Yeah.
the way that you had all been behaving and
That's
acting,
fair. That's fair.
I'm like, this is the campaign 2 crew, but worse.
That's what I'm saying. I think we look like we're like crazy fuck ups, but I think the way we
just
talk
crazy.
to each other and the way we did stuff, like, I think we're just unorthodox, but I think we're okay. I think we're actually gonna be okay.
We came together pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Now, the deeds that we were doing together, dubious at best, but
Right.
we did them together.
We did. And that's why I'm saying, like, it's crazy and chaotic, and it's gonna be so much fun to see where this goes. But at the same time, how we're
You're
doing
Team
it,
Chaos.
it kind of, yeah, we're like doing it together, or we're at least doing it in a way where we're like, okay, we're on the same page. This is okay, and we're moving it forward. We're not just let's just go kill shit. Let's just blow up shit. Or at least we're doing good. I'm excited to see where these group of assholes go.
Hopefully you last more than 4 episodes.
We did 6 episodes.
Oh, okay. Hopefully you make it to level 10.
There we go. Fair. Well, we did go a bit over, but that's okay because we were having fun like we always do here. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. As far as when these rules do come out, are we gonna implement them at all in our games? We're not sure yet. We are gonna go through the books ourselves and figure things out.
Yeah.
That is TBD. So
Yeah,
for
I
now,
don't
we are
think-
doing what we're doing.
I made a rage post in our private chat about it.
Oh
But-
yeah.
And that again, it was the monetization thing, but
Oh, of course,
like-
of course.
listening to the voice of logic that is Fox, like I can grab the books without having to pay the exorbitant
100
pre-order price and everything.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's like I'm gonna buy, like if we were to decide to do it, I'm gonna have to buy them digitally anyway, so I can share the compendium with people on Roll20. But it's not going to be pre-ordered from Wizards.
Yeah, I think what we
Hey.
can say is we're not moving away from 5e anytime soon. And we're not writing off the new content without first reading it ourselves.
I will say though, any current campaign that is going on will not be converted. That
Mhm.
we will be keeping to whatever the rules were when the
Yep.
campaign started. So
Yeah, right.
if we do bring 2024 in, it will be future campaign, future game, like mini adventure, future whatever, only.
Yeah.
So Cass doesn't have to worry about their artificer going away.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, and Zafira just stopped existing.
Severe said, you know what? I'm turning over a new leaf.
I'm gonna be a bartender."
warlock." Yeah. So To be determined. Like Rhojin said, we ourselves need the actual copies, digital or otherwise, to look through ourselves, see what we want to do, and then if we decide to do, it will be for the future campaign. So until then, you're still getting ye old Behold roleplay style.
One thing before we go.
No! Time!
I have a concern. Too bad.
You're good. No, it's fine.
I have a concern in the way that stat bonuses are being structured out. Mainly because I just have these like numb flashbacks to 3.5 to where it's going to open up power gaming again. And it's just like here's the optimal background and everything like that to choose for fighter, to choose for wizard, to choose for sorcerer, to where so it's like where you are optimized and it's like I'm dealing whatever amount of damage at level 1. Did someone say power gaming? And like to me, power gaming kills games. Like the moment you start power gaming, it becomes less about the story and more about winning.
Yeah, D&D is not a video game. Video games, you try to win. Tabletop,
it's like
you don't.
If you power game, then the DM has to power game, and you can't out power game the DM.
No, you can't.
No.
Finger of death, insta die. What? But I have nope, insta die. Don't care. I'm God.
I cast super counter spell.
Yeah, pretty much like what you said. Yeah, the DM is not the opponent. They are not the big bad end of the video game boss. No.
I'm the schmuck telling the story. I'm not your enemy.
Yeah, exactly. So, and people forget that, and they get main character syndrome because of it, because they have to be the coolest with the coolest shit because they gotta win. And that's why I loved that we talked about it earlier today about how a handful of us have stats, and we're fine with that.
You gotta have a dump stat. That's the fun stat.
Fun. That's the fun part. Yeah. So, yes, thank you again, everyone, for hanging out with us and coming along this journey of our rant. It's really a rant. It was more of just, hey, here's information with some stuff to back it up, and our
Try
opinion
not
of
to
it,
be
so.
ranty with it.
Yeah. So,
And that's why I'm like, take it away, Fox. I'm just gonna rant.
Yeah. We have the logical and the emotional lore master over here.
Yep.
So it's like, and we balance each other out. So yes, if you enjoyed this or especially like, what are they talking about? Well, we have several shows on the channel. Monday we have our longest running show of Destiny Forge, run by Rhojin. And then we have our Tuesday Star Wars Tales of the Outer Rim, Star Wars 5e conversion game run by Tiltbot. Then we have our 2 alternating Thursday shows. We just had Mass Effect Horizons, a Mass Effect 5e conversion game run by me. Alternating Thursdays, Rhojin just through the Tricorn Isles that we just talked about. Then we have our 2 alternating Saturday shows. We had Withered Wastes today, which is our kind of pre-game show about what happens before the events of some of our other games. That is run by Rhojin. And then we have our Pathfinder 2 Extinction Curse campaign the following Saturday, run by Astrid, which, again, I think they're just ready to wrap up that part of the story before they take a short break, doing something else before they continue it. So I think they're getting pretty close to the end there on that one. And then we have our lore show, which is the first Saturday of every month, where the 3 of us get together and talk about things on our show. We are planning on bringing back guests so we can have new character questions and stuff to ask, so keep an eye out for that as we go forward. Exactly. Ooh, the eyes Fox gave. You better. We have a couple of newer shows. We do have our mini story that's going to be about 4 or 5 episodes long called Under the Mountain, which is our Kids on Brew, basically Harry Potter style RPG game run by Sugarlove. Her first time DMing, so that's going to be fun to see where they take the story. Then we have our would-be heroes, kids on bikes / in the future maybe kids on capes, or kids with capes. That was once a month, but we have decided that we do not want to end this story, and we're going to make it more frequent. So I believe, I don't think it's the next weekend. It might be the following. I'll have to double check soon. In the next couple weeks or something, we will be starting that up again. It's a bit of a revamp. You will remember, I think you guys will pretty much see all characters that you recognize, I should say. Because there'll be some slight changes, but you'll still recognize them. So keep an eye out for that. So Would Be Heroes is still going strong, just gonna have a little bit of a twist so it can now be a full-blown campaign instead of a mini story. So yeah, if you guys miss us, definitely check us out on YouTube or any information on our Twitter and Discord. Otherwise, we will see you guys here Monday for our Destiny Forge game. So until then, guys, we'll see you later. Bye!